Hey there, readers, writers, and friends. Story Serpent here, and I have a recommendation for you once more. The author Charlie N. Holmberg. Right now, very often, Charlie N. Holmberg is writing for adults. She writes mostly with the 47 North publisher, which is Amazon's publishing arm, and most of her books are labeled as for adult. But I am coming to you recommending that if you have, especially girls who are reading a lot of YA romantasy and you are worried about the depiction of the sexy times, Charlie N. Holmberg is a fantastic alternative. We are going to talk about it some more. But before we get into that, today's random words are like, share, subscribe, Cosmological. So you all may remember that I recommended her series Whimbrel House, which starts with, Keeper of Enchanted Rooms, I believe, is book one. Well, we have a new addition to the series. It is called Wizard of Most Wicked Ways, and it focuses on the character of Owen, who was originally possessing the Whimbrel House and then was shunted into a dog and at last was given a human body that belonged to a young man who had drowned. That's where we ended on the third book. What I love about this book in particular is it shows the complicated struggles in human relationships, but that it is possible to make honorable choices even when your feelings are torn. And I have not seen a lot of that thematically in other places. It is really, really easy, especially in a lot of pop culture, that infidelity, cheating, doing whatever you feel like with whoever you feel like that seems to, that those are just part of human nature. That seems to be the theme du jour in a lot of writing, and in especially a lot of YA writing, which I don't appreciate, because that's not true. It's just not. We can all make good choices. And I love that by the end of this book, Owen makes the best choice. It makes me so happy to see that despite his personal struggles, he manages to be honorable. So I continue to say, Whimbrel House by Charlie N. Holmberg, great series, especially for your YA readers who like a little romance in their fantasy. The next title is Still the Sun, and I found this one really fascinating. There's a lot of themes around divinity and godhood, and you will find those themes throughout Holmberg's work. She tends to base a lot of her world building in like the reality of a religion and how that plays out in people's lives and what it really means to be divine, to be a being that is more than human, and to do that in a way that is honorable. I thought the world building in Still the Sun was fascinating because you as a reader over the course of the book really you get there is something weird going on with this place they live. And over time as she's so good at this. I don't have the words for it. She is so good at the slow reveal over the course of a book. It is one of the best things she does, where she gives you just enough information that your brain is ticking. You're going, oh, that thing right there, that's going to be important. And maybe I have some thoughts about that, and I have some guesses about why this is the way it is. And then when you get the reveal, it is both, oh, that's so interesting, and aha, I knew it. It manages to be both, which anyone who has studied writing at all knows that is the trick of the trade. Sudden but inevitable, surprising, but makes sense in the context of the story. Holmberg does that really, really well. So again, I think the average YA reader will really enjoy Still the Sun, and you don't have to worry about it being overly political or overly explicit. The next is the book Star Mother, which was originally written as a standalone, but she then wrote a sequel to it called Star Father. I have both of those. The other one is on a shelf somewhere in my house. I have many shelves. They are insufficiently organized. I cannot find it. I'm sorry. But it's here. And one of the things I really loved about Star Mother and Star Father is the theme of what it means to be bound by a law, by an eternal law, something like gravity. Gravity it is a force of nature. And when you, as an intelligent being, are bound by the strictures of a force of nature, like gravity, but more about behavior, about the way the universe must unfold. How do you regulate your own morality? What does that do to you as an intelligent being who is bound to behave in a certain way? What does that look like? And I feel like it was handled so well. It was absolutely fascinating. The other thing Charlie does, and she does this a lot, is she goes back and forth in time. You have the narrative story that you are following along, and that's most of the time. And then she will either have a short chapter, a little snippet, an epithet, maybe it's epistolary or it's just dated differently, so you know this is a thing that happened previously, this is a thing that happened in the past. So she's revealing the past to you along the way as she's revealing the narrative. There are times, and she does this really well, she's really good at it. There are times where it really, really works. There are times where I think it works less so, and if it ever, like, Charlie, listen to me, babe, if it ever becomes a thing you are doing just because you can do it and it's not serving the story, it'll become hokey. But as long as you're doing it good and you're making it work, make it work, girl. Use that thing until it don't work no more, because it is one of the things she does so well. That slow reveal over time, I think she's just really good at it. And her world building is always fascinating. I will say there were a couple of things along the way that made me squirm. They are probably just my own personal hang-ups, and they have to do with the way she describes some of the women and why the men are in love with them. At one point in Star Mother, I think it was, somebody says, "Oh, you're easy to love." And that kind of made me sad because I'm a whole lot of person and I don't think I'm very easy to love all the time, and so that made me squirm a little. There was also a place in Star Father where he's talking about how beauty is subjective, but if she hadn't been beautiful, he wouldn't have noticed her in the first place. And let's face it, every lady who ain't a 10 is going to look at that and go, well, womp womp, what does that mean for me? So take those bits with a grain of salt. And like I said, those are my hang-ups, not yours, not hers. And I don't think she's saying or doing anything wrong there. So, on the whole, Charlie Ann Holmberg, despite the fact that she is, most of the time, writing for adults, she does have a few YA titles out there. She is doing so in a way that is clean, it is interesting. When there is intimacy between characters, it is either in the context of a marriage or in a very monogamous relationship where marriage isn't really an option. It's not a thing. But they have decided, essentially, you are my person, I am your person. If we had a way to make marriage happen, that we would do that. But for whatever reason, they cannot. So if you are worried about your teens and what they are reading, I think Charlie Ann Holmberg is a really safe place to go. She will always get a best beach reads or better from me until she doesn't. And if she doesn't, I'll let you know. But in the meantime, you can trust her. It's a good time for everybody. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. If you've got a story you'd like to see the Serpent take on, feel free to put it in the comments. Or what are some of your favorite authors that you can always trust to do really good work? I would love to hear about them. Until next time, read on, write on, stay sharp.